Boy, what a mess. Well, I thought I would do another quick update video just to kind of keep everybody in the loop of what I'm up to. I know I've not been making many videos recently, but it's not because I haven't been busy. I've been busy with a lot of things, but I've been working along on this engine update thing I've been doing for the truck out there. So I just want to bring you up to speed. Not going to show you a whole lot here, not a whole lot to show, except just a bunch of painted parts. So that's what I've mainly been doing. You saw another video, I was cleaning this intake over here. That intake is done and clean and ready to go back on the engine in the truck. That's where the EGR and choke tube goes in there. Those little places that look like something should mount to them. That's what the deal is. Something does mount to them. So I still have to get a thermostat housing, the right one, and I'll do that. I think I have one located. And I'm going to bracket, a random bracket, that's the air conditioning bracket there, and I've got some cleaned and painted parts here over on the dryer. And there's my distributor. It's been cleaned and not painted. And I discovered the vacuum canister is bad on it, so I have to buy one of those. That's my what is that? That's the fresh air tube. It goes into the valve cover. You may notice that some of this stuff is kind of semi-gloss black and some of it ain't. Well, there's paint on everything here. And that, well, like this air cleaner, that took a lot of work to get that air cleaner to look that good. And this is the other part of it over here. And I'm going to have to rework this one a little bit because it's got to, get this, I bought some paint to do this with, and I managed to use some off-the-shelf paint. And well, what I've been using that stuff. That's John Deere Blitz Black. Say that 3 times real fast. I get that. I get that at the John Deere store is where I get it. But I've been using that. It's a real good semi-gloss black paint, and I like to use that on things that take that kind of paint. Like all that. But during my research and by looking at the old parts that came off of those engines at the junkyard and kind of doing all that kind of thing and so on and so forth, I determined that some of these parts were supposed to be a shiny gloss black or well, if you want to be absolutely correct, it's like a 80% gloss and this and that, but for a backyard mechanic like myself, we're just going to say gloss black and semi-gloss black and flat black. Well, none of it's flat black. So the only differentiation is gloss or semi-gloss. So I use the Blitz Black for the, like I just showed you. So the air cleaner has to be gloss black, or it's going to be gloss black. That's as close as the way it was. And this one little piece over here has to be gloss black, because that's what color it was. And the dipstick handle here is gloss black. So anyway, this air cleaner, you saw in that other video, was really rough. It was not dented, but it was rusty and greasy and awful. So that's what I spent almost all my time today is working on this air cleaner, because I've done this in the past. I've cleaned up air cleaners and valve covers and had just less than perfect, well, let me rephrase that. Well, let's just say moderate results, because here's the deal. When you're painting something metal like this, if you have any of the old paint left on it anywhere, it's going to show up in the new finish. I mean, any. So I said this time around, I said I'm doing this right. So I stood out there with my drill, my trusty about 10-year-old drill over there, and I worked this thing over, and I got all the paint off of it, and I got it down to shiny bare metal by hand. And this one too. And I forgot to tell part of my story, but I'll tell it in a second. So I worked my AWS off to get this thing to look good, and as you can see, I think it looks pretty good. So, but what happened over here is this thing's got a weird looking finish on this, and I did the same thing on this. I went down to bare metal with this with my wire wheel, and the wire wheel does not leave enough scratches to come through the paint on this, so that wasn't a problem. What had happened was I had a half a can of the old paint that I was going to use on that, and I knew that wasn't going to be enough, so I went to the store today and bought another can of the same stuff. And that old can is probably 5 years old, and the new can's, you know, recent. Well, the old can sprayed perfectly. In the new can, I used it, I didn't even get probably this far around with it, and it started spraying weird. And it sprayed out, looked like dry spray on here. So I had to switch the nozzles out from the old can to the new. And the rest of it looked okay. Come out looking pretty good. But this part right there didn't, so I guess I'll have to get my drill out again and grind all this paint off and start over, because I can't have that. That doesn't look good. And I know somebody's saying, yeah, get the track. But, you know, like I said, when I committed myself to this, I'm going to do this the right way, and I'm going to just see how good a job I can do on it. And, you know, that way at least the engine's done. And I have a good time doing it. And that quadrajet's not the one I'm going to use on. I actually sent away for the exact correct quadrajet that goes on that truck. So that'll be going back on it. And let's see. I'm contemplating. I'm so OCD about this. I have a good. That's a 12 SI alternator that'll fit that truck there. It's a very good alternator, but that's not the right one. It's not the one that goes on it. The one that goes on it's a 10S. 10S. I get those mixed up. 10 SI, and you can tell a 10 SI from a 12 SI because you see how the 12 has got that solid. That's actually a plastic fan that's made onto that. It's got fins back here behind that. But the 12 SI, see. The 10 SI is the one that has the external metal fans on it that you like stick your finger in and go just go. So I don't know yet. I'm decide on that. And the fan clutch was bad, and that fan clutch is $58 to buy a new one because that's a severe duty fan clutch, so I have to buy that. And what else? I got some odds and ends stuff over here. It's too hard to see it, but there's the valve covers over there, and you can get a kind of a glimpse of those. They are down to bare metal. I just sat out there today and used paint stripper on those things to get all the paint off of them. And they're in good shape. They're like the intake. They're in good shape underneath. They're not beat up in the air cleaner. And this thing here, you wouldn't believe how hard it is to find this these days. Can any of you guess what this is? Well, this is the original. Let me walk over here and see what I'm actually showing you. This is the original brake line, the vacuum line to the brake booster. The brake booster's got that little filter thing, backfire valve that's up here at the booster, and this runs around through the bracket for the return springs, throttle cable bracket, whatever, and it bolts into the back of the carburetor. Well, you wouldn't believe how many times these things get twisted off back here and screwed up and broke off and all that. It's almost impossible now to find one, and I'm not even sure you can even order one anymore. So this one's all original, so I'll clean that up too. Unobtainium. And the choke tube, I'll show you. Now you guys that watch my quadrajet videos, y'all have had a lot of questions about this, and I get to show you now. This is about lost the screws out of that. This is a choke tube. This tube part right here, this thing sits down in that intake. It sits down in the crossover passage. Shit. And this is basically an air circuit. Air goes in one of this openings, comes out the other. Well, when this happens, you see how it's busted off right here? It's almost busted off. that totally disables your choke, your hot air choke. So if you ever wonder why your choke won't work and you think it should, take that thing out and look at it. Might be broken. That happens all the time. Every time I'm in this garage, I trip over something. So I don't think there's anything else to really talk about here. Yeah, okay. No, I don't think there is. Oh yeah, I did have the original. That truck did have its original distributor still in it. I'll show you real quick how you can tell. That's the dust shield for the flywheel. It didn't come off that truck. I had one in storage. But yeah. Anyway. Oh yeah, you wonder what this thing, I showed you what this is. This is the, I'll show you later. I'll show it to you again at some point. I'll show it to you so many times you're sick of it. We got, you look on the Chevy distributor, probably any kind of GM distributor like this. Look at it, there's some numbers. If I can get it where I'll look at it. There we go. There's some numbers stamped into this distributor body. This one is 110353. That pretty much just comes up to a generic 70s era HEI distributor, nothing special. And then over here, there's your date code. The 8 is a year, that would be 78. The L is a month of the year, that's 12. So I think it's 12. And then 20 is the day. So this distributor was assembled, that date code is December 20th of 1978. So they say that you're trying to determine whether you have the original parts, then your date code on your whatever you're looking at has to precede the build date of the vehicle. So like that truck was built like at the very first part of, I think it was built at the very end of 1978. So that would be accurate. Now if this thing was coded for, if it had this 12/20 of 1978 date code on it and the truck was built in September 1978, that would absolutely not be the right distributor. So I'm gonna double check that. But I think that's the original distributor. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's close enough. It'll work. So okay, guys, 12 minutes of rambling, but I thought you all would be curious to know what I'm up to in here. So that's what I'm up to. And that's not my favorite thing to do. I guess I do like cleaning things up, but when you're having to do it just, as accurately as possible, it's tedious. But anyway, I'm sure happy about that air cleaner. I'm not happy about that part. I hear something buzzing over there. Oh, some kind of creature wants to come in here with me, idiot. Stay out of here. Oh yeah, my lawnmower quit running. The snapper. No, it didn't blow up. I kind of caused it myself, like I do most of my problems. What happened was I had some gas out there in the container, and I didn't think it was that old. And it's not the gas container. It's that awful foolproof gas container that I showed you in that video that I promised I would never use again. And it still had some gas, and the gas looked pretty good. It was a little bit yellow, but it smelled okay. But I think it had some water in it because I put it in the lawnmower, and then the lawnmower wouldn't run. So I've kind of been mulling over doing a little bit of work on that snapper anyway, because it's running good, but I noticed it's been missing a little bit off and on, and it was down on power. So that and the carburetor's really touchy. It's like it has like one position on that speed control that it'll run at. If you go too far, it goes into the choke. If you go back anything other than that, it kind of just spits and sputters and slows down. So something's going on in that carburetor. So I'm going to take that thing. I guess I'll take it apart and clean it again and overhaul it again and see if I can get it to work right. So that, and it's got a few things going on with it. I mean, it's still been running reliably until I put that half gas and half water in it. But that's the first time in what, 2.5, 3 years that it's ever failed to run. So not bad. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching and tuning in and all that. And I'll update you when there's something else to show you. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.